What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark, MacMovieGuy.com, my favorite blind film critic. And today I'm doing a series review for Side Quest. I made it through the 4 episodes of the Apple Plus series. I finished Mythic Quest and then I finished Side Quest. So I could do a recap of Mythic Quest, but I haven't recapped any of Mythic Quest. And it's 4 seasons worth of Mythic Quest. So I'm just going to pay my honor and dues by saying thank you to Mythic Quest for your 4 season run. It's sad to see you canceled. It's interesting that Apple is uploading a edited version of the season finale, which is now a series finale for season 4, that will give fans closure instead of leaving it open-ended. So a lot of us who watched in a more timely manner, saw a season finale that was a season finale, and as soon as they canceled it, they announced that they'd be uploading an edited, altered version of the episode. And I wonder if that's the only episode that'll be available, so only a couple of us ever saw this cliffhanger version of the episode. But that's neither here nor there, and that's Side Quest. But Side Quest is from the same creators. It's just this little limited series that sort of is set in the world of Mythic Quest. It's an interesting side project, but it's kind of unnecessary. It does have audio description, like everything on Apple, except for a couple of documentaries that are not in the English language, which I lamented about last year, which I thought was crazy for them to, as a streaming service, to break with their tradition of having pretty much like a 100% ratio. And then they dropped like 2 documentaries last year, The Last of the Sea Women, and I'm gonna forget, Bread and Roses. Is that it? Does that feel like the title for a documentary? There was the one about the Afghani women. It was produced by Jennifer Lawrence. That didn't have audio description. Then there was another one, the Sea Women one. It didn't have audio description, which is unfortunate because you can absolutely audio describe things that are not in the English language. It's not impossible. We do it all the time. So, as a matter of fact, Apple does it all the time with their TV shows like Berlin ER and I just all the other shows that they have that are escaping my mind. Pachenko. There you go. Side Quest is anthology style, so each episode is its own thing, and it doesn't connect to another episode. So the first episode was basically somebody who worked for the company, who worked in marketing, was off trying to enjoy his vacation with his girlfriend, who he wanted to propose to, but Ian kept bothering him. Ian from Mythic Quest. You should watch Mythic Quest before watching Side Quest. Although Side Quest does not... The funny thing about Side Quest is that you could actually watch it independently of Mythic Quest, as long as you're just conceptually aware of what Mythic Quest is. There's nothing so... There's nothing that's so shockingly indistinguishable like without you having seen the show. It's just there are some references and stuff that might not make 100% sense. First episode is probably the most of all because of Ian actually making an appearance in the first season, in the first episode. So but he's not the star of the episode. He just briefly appears. So it's about work-life balance and self-doubt and all that kind of stuff, and balancing your work with budding relationship and this guy that feels like he got this girl that is he's punching above his weight. So he just wants to enjoy himself, and is it possible to enjoy himself when he's thinking about work? Those kind of things. Like, when you're on vacation, but you know that being on vacation puts you behind on the work that you need to get done. So tackles a lot of things that people probably deal with realistically about their jobs. The second episode is my favorite, hands down. This is the episode I would love to spin off into another series. It's set in a comic book store in sort of an urban area. I want to say a black neighborhood, but I don't know for sure. I mean, I didn't feel like it was uniquely, but there's talk of like gentrification and stuff like that happens, and how this comic book store used to be something else, and they're sort of like revitalizing the neighborhood, and things are changing for the better, and the comic book store that serves a population, and the guy that's the janitor in Abbott Elementary, whose actor name escapes me right now, but he's plays this old guy that's really into a game, and hangs out in the back a lot. Sort of, for those who have been in the comic book stores, that also, they're not just comic book stores, they're also places where people hang out and they play like Magic the Gathering and Warhammer and stuff like that. So they double. There's always like tables for people to be able to play tabletop games or card games at as well, in addition to selling nerd culture, basically. And that's what this felt like a lot. And the dynamic, the characters, the actors that they chose, everything played really well and bounced off of each other. I would have spun this off into its own series, like, hands down. Like, really the only connective tissue between this episode and Mythic Quest is the fact that there's a Mythic Quest comic book, which is what they're waiting for to come in. And there's a couple of people who are there, and they talk about the pull list. So it's like the nerdiest thing ever. Like, you need your nerd skill level needs to be at least an 8 out of 10 to properly enjoy this episode. But it talks about pull lists, and how comic book store owners will keep issues for their regulars pulled ahead of time as soon as they come in, and let them know that their issue has arrived so they can go pick it up. Unfortunately, Mythic Quest only sent like one comic book, and there are like a couple people who need it, so they're all fighting over this one comic book, and they're trying to come up with reasons as to why they should be the one to have it. So it comes up with a fun ending, and I really adored this episode. The first episode was okay, but it didn't make me, it didn't defeat the original series. The second episode made me feel like, oh yeah, this could be a spinoff from Mythic Quest. So I saw the magic in the second episode. The third episode was okay. It was sort of interesting. It was a little inventive, creative, again, with that work-life balance. It deals with sort of like the composition of the score of the music, and you see a musician who sort of goes a little bit too far, and there's that conversation sort of at the end about, needing to play, and there's some statement that the musician, she's like begging for a job to try to get it back, and he says something like, he explains to her the difference between doing it as like a job, or doing it because you love it, because it's a hobby, or because you're a musician or whatever. So he explains that sort of from his perspective about what is work for him and what is not, and sort of offers her that tidbit of knowledge in work-life balance. So you get that work-life balance thing that comes back around from the first episode. It's not as present in the second episode, although you can see that the comic book store owner, when she has only one comic book, is frustrated. But there isn't really there's nothing really about her life. I mean, like, we don't know what else she does. So there can't be a work-life balance if we don't know what her life is like. But the first and third episodes certainly touch on that. And then the fourth episode is cool and just focuses on like this crew that's rolling, going in, doing raids, and how all meet online and shows their avatars, and the one of the clan, one of the, the little group has a has a younger brother that wants to play and do a good job. And I've seen this so many times, man. It's not usually with little brothers though. It's often with actually. I used to play with people who had kids, and their kids would want to play too. So you'd play with somebody who I played with a lot of people who were like adults, and then they had like a 10, 12-year-old kid that would pop in and play with their dad. So which is kind of cool, but at the same time, uh, I felt I kind of understood the perspective of the other gamers. Like, it's just kind of awkward when you're playing with father son. Um, as far as like siblings, I've seen personally, I've just seen less of that. I've seen way more, uh, like I guess father son relationships online than the other. So, um, that's just in my limited interaction. But yeah, so he wants to play with his um, older brother, and uh, the squeaker gets kicked, and then the older brother gets yelled at by the mom, and it felt very like I was like, man, I've been in this situation so many times. So I love the fourth episode too because it encapsulated, even though I hadn't played video games since losing my vision, because the kind of video games that I like to play are not really they're not accessible yet. I would love for us to make more accessibility in video games so I can play stuff like Call of Duty, Zombies, and Overwatch, uh, and Fortnite. Which is I'm wearing a Fortnite shirt right now. I forgot to say that in my introduction for my blind audience, but yeah, I gamed, but uh, I spent most of the time on the Xbox, and most of the Xbox games that actually all of the Xbox games that have accessibility are not games that I would play. Except technically Minecraft does have accessibility, but it's not useful. I've yet to find how the screen reader functionality on Minecraft is useful. I don't quite understand it, but as somebody who played Minecraft, I'm like, this doesn't help me at all. Um, so yeah, I so side quests 2 and 4 were great. 3 was interesting. One was weird because like 1 is the one that you started with, but 1 was the one that also was like, well, nobody's gonna watch this if we don't have a character for Mythic Quest, which I would argue, considering that was my least favorite episode, is not true. Uh, so um, that was the one where I was wondering what is side quest, and am I just gonna get like random employees? Like, am I supposed to remember this guy? Was he in an episode? Was he in like season 2, episode 5, and I'm just forgot who he is, and we're exploring what this random side characters is that side quest. And then once I realized, I was like, no, it's just different facets of Mythic Quest and the way that it interacts with the world and the different things that it has. So it does have people who have to market the video game who don't work directly on the video game, and it does have people who it does produce a comic book series, and that comic book series, um, you know, I mean, there was that whole thing with F. Murray Abraham and his character and the lore and everything created by Mythic Quest. So of course it would have a comic book series, and before they wrote F. Murray Abraham off the show. Uh, Third episode, obviously, there's a score. People love video game music now more and more, and they're putting more and more effort into scores. So you're getting these really complex scores that people are actually just going to and listening to, and orchestras are playing them. Like, you could just show up and listen to an orchestra play the score from Zelda or something like that in there. So, and then lastly, the final episode is obviously about, in-game play. So, I mean, it really does kind of tackle all these different facets. And I like side quests enough. Do I like it more than the original show? No, I don't. Do I think episode 2 could have spun off into something that would have been equally as interesting as Mythic Quest? I do. I actually think the chemistry of the second episode and those characters and the way they bounced off of each other and the way that it was written could have created a Mythic Quest-ish show. I think that's where the magic is. I don't think episode 4, even though I liked it, has enough to sustain. I think we've done that thing before where they feel like we're in the video game. I think we've done that before, and it's hard to sustain that. So I actually would have gone with the comic book atmosphere more, comic book store atmosphere. Audio description was fine. So I'm going to side quest, a B+. I like Mythic Quest more as a series, but overall I thought side quest was a pretty interesting endeavor. It's sad that Mythic Quest, though, is ending as a series because I'm going to miss it. Although it felt like it was close to ending anyway. Like, they had an opportunity to end it at the end of season 4 and they didn't, and they kind of went in a different direction. It felt like we were headed towards an ending and then we didn't take it, and then maybe we should have. So I wouldn't have been mad at all. I mean, we had Ian and Poppy that were headed in like different directions. Poppy was deciding whether or not she wanted to stay at Mythic Quest. And then they decided to bring them together. Ian and Poppy kiss. And I mean, like, you could have even ended on that. Like, you had so many opportunities with the two lead characters. You just needed to wrap up the supporting characters and wrap up MQ as a game. We even got, I felt like we were saying goodbye like so many times. So we got the standalone episode with Poopy and like where he's at now and how he felt like he had a lot of growth since the first time we'd seen him. So I mean, I'm not mad. I just it's sad, but we live in a different world now where shows are more interested in running short runs of things and making them good, which is why I'm so surprised Ted Lasso's coming back, because season 3 wasn't necessarily the most beloved season. So if you go back for season 4, are you trying to improve upon season 3? Are you trying to fix the haters that you gained? I liked season 3, but are you trying to fix that? Or are you just trying to extend the life of a show? Like, why are you doing a 4th season of Ted Lasso? So we're in a different place where running forever and ever is not necessarily the goal anymore. And a lot of shows are choosing and announcing ahead of time that they're going to have short runs because that's the creative strength. And they'd rather be known for a really perfect 3 or 4 season run than a weak, well, it started strong and ran for 10 seasons, but by the end of the 10th season, some of the characters were gone, some of the cast was gone, and it was a completely different show. We've seen that 1,000 times. So it's about maintaining quality, I think, more than quantity at this point. Anyway, check out side quests. And I will see you guys on the other side.